Hey guys, welcome back to Affliction of the Heart, Volume 4. Last time, Kuno became queen. Basically, that's all that happened in the army. Alright, so let's see, let's start with something new is this chapter's title. The author's notes right now is, I'm not too happy with this chapter. I suck at writing the whole political aspect and such, so just power through it until we can return to the crazy changeling antics you know and love. So that means it's just a whole lot of bullshit gonna happen right now. So, you know. Alright, let's try this then. Let's hop right into it. Wooden felt out of place. The entire changeling army sat quiet and obedient in the throne room of the Canterlot Castle. Kuno stood at their head, in all the glory of her new, more regal form. The royal guard with shining armor at their head, all armed and armored, were likewise crammed into the room. They bordered the edges and guarded the door, forming a wall of spear points to discourage any changeling from trying to leave. All four princesses sat in their thrones on the raised portion of the throne room, Celestia, Luna, Kins, and Twilight Sparkle. And Warden felt so out of place he wanted to stand next to Kuno, but a changeling flanked her on either side, her Praetorians, the honor guard. They had procured purple armor with gold edges from somewhere and looked quite intimidating. And so Warden was sitting to the side, neither a guard nor a changeling. He felt more like a silent observer. You wish for residency for each and every changeling present? Celestia asked slowly, carefully. Kuno nodded respectfully. Yes, residency for each and every changeling under my rule. You understand that this is troublesome, Celestia asked uncomfortably. Your kind has certain tendencies that are not conducive to a relationship. I can offer assurance, Kuno said awkwardly, frowning slightly. I am committed, as are my subjects, to making this work. Your kind feeds on love, Celestia pointed out bluntly. I allowed your residency as you were clearly enamored with your husband, and he was a ready source of sustenance for you. I could now, however, allow changelings to roam free with their only recourse for sustenance is to take the place of ponies. You don't know anything about changelings, Kuno said quietly, her new larger wings giving a slightly irritated buzz. My kind can sustain ourselves with acts of kindness, among other acts. Sexual acts, Celestia said knowledgeably. Luna looked away, her cheeks darkening. Yes, Kuno responded candidly, it is an intense form of love. You intend to, what? Open a whorehouse? Celestia asked, what? Celestia, what the fuck? Like, another, fuck you mean? What? What? Okay, what? This just stopped me. You intend to what? Open a whorehouse? Celestia asked, her tone turning disgusted. Kuno's eyes narrowed slowly. Not in that sense. Were you allow us residency? I would create a kind of guild, the changing consortium, a kind of one-stop shop for pony needs. Celestia started once wrinkling her nose. A changeling has no special talent, and we can be any pony. There are services we can offer to ponies that they could get from nowhere else. Kuno explained carefully. Her wings gave another faint, irritated buzz. Lost loved ones, we could give a pony an hour with their dead relatives. That's a bad idea. With their dead relatives, all we can ask is a small amount of love in return. A blacksmith is something that a changeling could be at moment's notice. A baker, a seamstress. And where would this consortium be? Celestia asked. Kuno looked at Warden for the first time during the entire meeting, licking her lips cautiously and then turning back to Celestia. We are in possession of a large property and manor that I feel would adequately work as both a consortium and an embassy. I am familiar with the territory. I am familiar with the territory, Celestia said carefully, giving Kuno a long stare. You understand that you are asking for you and your subjects to be governed under the law of our land, correct? Pony law. Kuno nodded a little slowly, yes, and soon to include a law against unlawful impersonation of any pony, living or dead, Celestia added blankly. Kuno blinked once, her ears playing back. Malicious, unlawful impersonation, she corrected. You're not even part of this country yet, and you seek to advise me on laws? Celestia asked carefully, her tone growing sharp. Kuno gave a slow smile. Yet? Celestia started once at that, tossing her mane slowly, lightly, her wings arching once impatiently. And before anything else to happen, I had to ask, how many ponies have you all murdered? How many ponies have you met death at your hooves? Kuno sucked in a breath, looking back over her shoulder at the changelings behind her. Any of you that have caused the death of a pony, step forwards. That's bad. That's a bad thing to just ask. Like, Kuno has, like, three murders under her account. There was a rustle of movement, and three changelings stepped forwards and moved to stand in front of their queen, facing Celestia. Celestia's eyes narrowed at them. Kuno took a single step forwards, carefully sitting down at the end of the line of ponies. Twilight and Cadence exchanged glances and whispers. Do they have names? Celestia asked calmly. Ask them yourself, Kuno said, inclining her head respectively. I have not had time to assign them names myself. You're certain that they will be truthful, Celestia inquired suspiciously. Lying would not be in the interest of the hive. They would not lie to their queen or their princess, Kuno explained, bowing carefully. The changelings behind and beside her all bowed. Very well, you, first on the right. Have you a name? Celestia queried. I do not, your majesty, the changeling said, bowing deeply. What ponies did you cause the death of? Celestia asked simply. One, your majesty, a guard. He found me out. I snapped his neck. Shit. That's just like straight up. He found me out. I snapped his neck. Boom. Shining armor stiffened. Take that one to the dungeon, Celestia said, waving a hoof. Kuno straightened slightly, giving the changeling a sad look. The changeling hung their head, nodding sadly as a pair of guards escorted them away. You, second in line, the name. No, you're mad. I'm surprised there's only three, well, including Kuno. But you, second in line, a name? No, your majesty. Very well, same question. A young mayor. I took the place of a cook for a day while he was indisposed. I did not know that one of the regulars was allergic to sesame seeds. I mistakenly poisoned her with sesame seeds. Mayor Slaughter, says his quality. Take that one to the dungeon as well. What? Excuse me? Okay, that one was an accident. That one was an actual accident, Celestia. Fuck you. Fuck you. Kuno winced, ears playing back as the second changeling was taken away. You, the third, a name? No, your majesty. Though I am known as speaker to Kuno, it is more a title than a name. Very well. Your crime? I killed a thief, an extortionist, a possible murderer. Go on, Celestia said, making a motion with a hoof. I killed them. Are you not sending me to the dungeon? Kuno's eyes narrowed. Answer the question, subject. The changeling stiffened slightly. Yes, your majesties. I was confronted by a criminal pony who had discovered my true identity and attempted to commission me under the ruse of torture, death, or turning me into the authorities to steal various valuables from homes. Using my natural talents as a changeling, I killed him before he could tell any pony. You believed yourself in mortal danger? Celestia asked carefully. Definitely so. If I were to be detained by the guard, no love would be a slow and painful death, the changeling said with a sad shake of their head. Shall I show myself to the dungeons? There will be no need, Celestia said bluntly, waving a hoof. Return to your changelings. What you did was a kind of self-defense. But not the changeling who defended themselves from your guard, the changeling challenged. Okay, this is getting weird and heated at the same time. You may argue for your brethren in their trial. Oh, they're getting trials, okay. You may argue for your brethren in their trial, Celestia said simple, her eyes narrowing. Return to your group. Kuno standing up, tall and regal, as the attention of the princesses turned to her. Kuno, your crimes? The deaths of 5 ponies, Kuno stated simply. Twilight Sparkle and Luna exchanged worried glances. Very well, list them, Celestia said, making a motion with a hoof. Be descriptive. Why are you telling the queen to be descriptive? Celestia, you know 3 of them so far, okay? My first mortality was an accident, but preventable. An older pony with a heart condition. I was pretending to be a nurse, as it was a good source of love. I prescribed the wrong medication. They succumbed to cardiac arrest. A mistake then, Celestia asked carefully. Yes, but avoidable, Kuno admitted, shaking her head sadly. The second was a sexual misadventure, she said, biting her bottom lip awkwardly. This should be interesting, Celestia said dryly. And Celestia just want to hear the sexual talk. Because I feel like she'll join in on the whorehouse side of things. That's how I feel right now. I was in with a group of intensely loving individuals, dominatrixes, and their submissives. I was taking the place of a dominatrix. They are largely anonymous and quiet, loved, strangely enough. Strangely enough, Celestia agreed. I mistook one of the cues, and the submissive was shocked to death, Kuno said blankly. I regret it, but it was my mistake. I didn't do my homework. Celestia frowned deeply, lips pursing on. Go on. The remaining 3 are murder, Kuno stated. Don't keep us waiting. You should know about those. Celestia, you should know about the 3 that she murdered. What the fuck? Like, just telling her to tell out loud to the other ones, to the other princesses that didn't know about this. The first of my murders was a high-class pony. I was with him for quite some time, and I became aware that he was part of a of a slavery trade, trading in foals. Kuno trailed off, her eyes eyeing slowly. I perforted his. We don't need the gory details on what you did to the minute. We don't need the gory details on what you did down to the minute details, Celestia said, holding up a hoof. You eliminated him because of what you did? He had his thugs go to orphanages and adopt ponies and then sell them. For anything, it was disgusting. I cannot fault you for what you did, Celestia admitted. Twilight gasped softly. What did Twilight gasp? What? Like, the three princesses that isn't Celestia right now, they're just like judging this and gonna react how. And the remaining two, Celestia ignoring Twilight. Daggertail and his crony Sunshine commented friendly. The circumstances, Celestia quiet. You know the circumstances, god damn it. Sunshine had, on orders of Daggertail, broken my husband's wing and hoof, crippling him. He also tried to have me killed by proxy by turning me into the guards, where I would have starved to death, Kuno explained quietly. I warned Daggertail to leave my husband alone, or I would kill him. I gave him my promise, and when he refused, I killed him. I understand, Celestia said carefully, earning another gasp from Twilight. But you must understand what you have done violates the laws of this land. I would do the time in the dungeon, where you hold a chrysalis no less, if you look me in the eyes and say that you believe me guilty of wanton murder, no challenge raising tears. Wait, what? I feel like I said that so wrong. Where you held a chrysalis, no less. If you look me in the eyes and say that you believe me guilty of wanton murder, Colonel challenge raising to hers. Celestia frowned deeply, her wings giving an irritated flutter. For your kind to achieve residency in Equestria, they would need to learn the laws of our country, and they would need to obey them. They would need to be named, registered, and have some means of identification. No longer would your kind be allowed to lurk in the shadows. You will be monitored and policed, as regular ponies are. And any violation of our laws would result in severe repercussions, understood? I understand, Colonel said, bowing. We will need to converse and decide your fate. Your kind are confined to your estate until tomorrow afternoon, when our decision will be handed down. If any changeling attempts to leave, they will be considered as an enemy combatant and treated as such. Understood? What the fuck? What about if a changeling just wants to walk and stroll around? Okay, what the fuck? I understand. Kuno repeated respectfully. The fuck? Well, that was weird. Warden said, laying his chin on the kitchen table. My heart is still racing, Kuno admitted, wide-eyed, rubbing a hoof through her mane anxiously, hoof tapping against the floor. Warden was vaguely aware of the rustle of movement all around as changelings inspected the rooms. He didn't know the exact number of rooms in the manor, but there were definitely more changelings than rooms. So, what happens now? Warden asked awkwardly, ears playing back. We wait, Kuno said simply, sitting down and then letting her head drop onto the table with a long, weary sigh. Either Celestia and the other princesses are agreed to allow us all residency, or they banish us. And if they banish you all, Warden asked, his wings giving a tiny flitter, then we all start a new hive somewhere in the Badlands, Kuno said, trailing offward. I just realized that if this all goes wrong, then I'm going to have to drag you with me and the rest of the hive, maybe even out of Equestria. Yes, you will, Warden said, tiredly, hanging his head. You don't even give any thought to possibly staying? Kuno asked carefully, Warden arched an eyebrow. I died for you. Sure as Tartar is not letting you get away from me, he said with a firm shake of his head. You're stuck with me. Kuno smiled at that, rising up a little bit to her new, larger height. Even though I'm bigger now, just all the more to love. Though the physics of certain activities escape me utterly, I'm going to need a step ladder, Warden said, looking up at her and down carefully. Kuno snorted once, giving a soft giggle. That would be an amusing prospect. You're still all the same, Warden asked cautiously, making a motion with hoof. No weird egg bits or sacks or anything crazy like that. Kuno blinked once. No. Why would I have egg bits? Because you're the queen. Isn't it like your job to, or whatever, to lay eggs to hatch an army? Warden asked, winkling his nose deeply. Don't think that's how it works. Kuno squirmed slightly in place, sort of, sometimes, though I very much doubt that it would ever come to that, and certainly not since I'm married. It's a very weird process, and well, I don't see that it would be prudent to explain it to you when the very adult details might be overheard by everyone and their uncle. Not to mention all the royal guards flitting about, where instead looking towards the window, the silhouette of a royal guard was visible, standing on the hills outside just as the edge of the estate. So this whole consortium thing, were you being truthful about it? Yes, Colonel said earnestly. Most ponies can't do a thing outside of their cutie marks. Imagine if you had a project that required a dozen different talents. You could give the project to a changelings to do. Ponies aren't that useless, Warden said, frowning deeply. Warden, you couldn't cook to save your life, Kuno pointed out bluntly. You can grow the most amazing stupefyingly tasty vegetables, but your idea of cooking is to place them all in a pot and boil them until they are a uniform color and consistency. When it went slightly, well, I could learn, but you wouldn't have to if you had a changeling there for that. The consortium could be a one-stop shop for anything Kuno bounce in place excitedly. And what about the other thing you said before about when showed off awkwardly making an emotion with the whole loneliest thing, seeing dead relatives and such? What about it? Kuno asked her, tilting to the left. Wouldn't give an accessible to say sex, Kuno. If you give the average pony an avenue for repercussionless time with whoever they want, they'll want sex. And Kuno asked blankly, and Warden said something once, I don't want this place to have a reputation for being a whorehouse. Wouldn't imagine that I died, Kuno said carefully. Okay, so I've committed suicide, Warden said blankly. Kuno glowered at him, be serious. Even though if you died, Kuno, he would probably commit suicide, even though he still has Swarm to take care of. I need to hurry up. Gotta take a little bathroom break. Okay, fine, you're dead. What now? You come here to the consortium to spend some time with me, Kuno said, making a motion with a hoof. Yes, and I don't see how this is relevant, Warden admitted, shaking his head. Kuno gave a long surfing sigh. If it were me, Warden, if you were convinced I was back from the dead, even for a few hours, wouldn't you want to hold me, touch me, enjoy the time with me one last time? Warden frowned deeply at that, chewing on his bottom lip. I still don't think that I would, sex wouldn't be on my mind. But we can't disallow that option, Warden. That's placing arbitrary limits on what can and cannot be done in the privacy of the rooms. My changelings aren't stupid. I doubt that you'd convince any of them to just have sex with you as another pony for your enjoyment. That's creepy and weird and a little off-putting, but if two ponies were to be in that state of mind where sex might be something that could help them feel better, or better remember their lost wife or husband, or even, yes, in their rare circumstance of fantasy, then that would be fine with me. Warden frowned deeply, rubbing his forehead with a hoof. Again, imagine me if you couldn't have me whenever you wanted, Kuno said with a toothy grin. Warden frowned deeply. Okay, fine, I'll permit it, he said, chewing on his bottom lip, but I don't like it, and it will be done discreetly. Swarm will never know it's happening, period. Kuno nodded. I will make sure that they use the utmost discretion. I don't believe I just gave you permission to turn my manor into a whorehouse. Warden said, mortified. It's not a whorehouse, Kuno said with a long sigh. It's a consortium. It just happens to be what changelings are best at. Warden raised an eyebrow, giving her a wry smile. I kinda have to concur. I don't know if you're teasing me or trying to get into my pants, Kuno said, scratching her chin thoughtfully. Maybe a little of both, Warden offered with a smile. Not like I could act on any baser urges. Anyway, still too drugged to even feel anything. When are you gonna get fixed, Warden? This mic. I feel bad for you right now. Kuno gave a long sigh, resting her chin on the table again. My new crazy powerful form, and I can't even take advantage of you in it. We'll have to make sacrifices, Warden said with a right smile. So all these changelings, they live here now? Until tomorrow, at least, permanently, if Cesta gives us residency, Kuno explained. Going to need to soundproof rooms and set boundaries on where they can and cannot go, and where they can conduct their business, Warden said, rubbing through his mane anxiously. Can they learn to grow? I don't see why not, Kuno said, chewing on her bottom lip thoughtfully. What have you got in mind? Well, if they can take care over the royal growing, we could expand the fields, Warden said with a motion of a hoof. We take a percentage for running the operation, and the rest of the funds go to the consortium for basic upkeep and whatnot. That's not a bad idea, really, but there is so much to work out first, Kuno trailed off with a long sigh. Diplomatic things, political things, they'll have to have names. I need to get a new collar, she rubbed her neck with a hoof. I broke my old one when I changed. One went suddenly nodded. I'll get you a new one tomorrow from the store. And why are you so different? Different, Kuno asked curiously. Different, Warden made her affirmed. You have individually, I never noticed how stark the difference was until you were next to other changelings. They're like drones. Kuno nodded quietly. Back in my original hive, my queen encouraged individuality. She encouraged us to become ourselves. Crystal is completely different. She viewed the individuality as a hindrance. She basically used her magic as queen to turn all the changelings into drones. She suppressed their emotions and their individuality. She let me retain my sense of self because she found me quirky. Kuno gave a toothy smile at that. Plus, I am somewhat of a wicked tactician. I've noticed, Warden said dryly. So, can they be fixed? They can be encouraged to develop their own personalities now that Christus is gone, but for now, I'd prefer they remain really reliant on the hive mind for their emotional state until we know what's happening. That's prudent, but still a little bit strange, Warden said uncomfortably. Feels like entrapment or something. I'm not doing it to them. I'm just not fixing it until we're settled in and I can do it in a useful sense. And if they don't have individuality, I can assure Celestia that they won't go off on their own and impersonate some ponies, Kuno explained. And the ones that got thrown in the dungeon when they asked quietly, what about them? I'll visit them, give them some love so they won't starve, but they did illegal things if we're committed to being under the rule of Celestia. And the rest of the princesses, and all we can do is just submit appeals, Kuno said sadly. There's nothing else we can do. I thought for a minute there wouldn't shut off fighting as well that I was going to go to jail, Kuno asked with a faint smile. Wood nodded quietly. I had a chance to talk to her sister. Already knew about Daggertown Sunshine, and the other three are across the ocean. Plus, I am the queen of the changelings. Throwing me in the dungeon without evidence of me willfully hurting ponies would destroy any chance of our two species interacting. And sister might seem to be harsh, but if she doesn't want to exile us, Kuno said with a firm shake of her head, she'll go through with this. It'll be rocky, but we'll make it work. You're so certain, Wood asked carefully. Kuno nodded for me. I'm certain of it. Celestia knows that exiling us will be death, and when she has a chance to turn what was a sworn enemy of Equestria into allies, she's going to jump in at the chance. I hope you're right, Wood said, frowning deeply, scratching at the table with her. We spent a long time building a life here. I don't want it to all just fly out the window. But you'll still be with me, right? Kuno asked earnestly. Wood nodded firmly. No matter what happens. Yeah, we got Discord on their side, so yeah, true. Then everything is going to be fine, Kuno said, leaning across the table to kiss his nose gently. The end! Woo! Political shit. Don't like it at all. Anyways, this is the second class chapter. Anyways, guys, thank you all for watching, listening to it. Good guys, dope. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.
100,000 stories have filled my head as I look for the answer.